Okay, in this session, we are going to discuss about the cost of a product. Personally, I believe that to having much more knowledge regarding the manufacturing accounts, you first of all you should have a good idea and you should have a good rationale about the cost of a product and how it's going to categorized. So, as the first step, here I am going to discuss the concept of cost of a product. So here first objective of this session will be identify the identify and give examples of each of the three basic manufacturing cost categories. Okay, here at the end of this session, you may able to identify the main cost components of a product, as well as you can give certain example. Let's say if we said like a mobile phone, then you can give what are the what are the particular cost items available with that mobile phone production. Then if you identify basically those things, then simply you can identify what are the available cost items of a product. Then you can simply prepare the manufacturing accounts. Okay, so let's see first. I think you may aware regarding this when it's become the manufacturing cost of a product. Okay, as I mentioned in here, basically we can categorize this into three categories: direct material cost, direct labor cost, and manufacturing overhead cost. So simply you can, I think you have studied these things. So please, can anyone can tell me uh, what you known as basically direct cost? What is the meaning of direct cost? මොකක්ද direct cost එකක් කියලා කියන්නේ? අපි ප්‍රධාන වශයෙන් නිෂ්පාදිතයක දැන් මේ කාර් එකේ ගත්තොත් එහෙම මේ කාර් එකේ මුළු පිරිවැය අපිට පුළුවන් ප්‍රධාන කොටස් දෙකකට බෙදන්න ඍජු පිරිවැය සහ වක්‍ර පිරිවැය කියලා. ඍජු පිරිවැය සහ වක්‍ර පිරිවැය කියලා. හරි. මට කියන්න මොකක්ද ඔයාලා අයිඩෙන්ටිෆයි කරන්නේ ඍජු පිරිවැය කියලා? What do you mean by direct cost? Anyone? Direct cost, ඍජු පිරිවැය, and overhead cost. Totally cost of a product. There are two categories, two main categories. Production, let's say production cost. Production cost of a product can be divided into two categories as direct cost and overhead cost. Total of direct cost we can say simply as the primary cost, prathamika period. So what do you mean by direct cost? No idea? Anyone?
Expenses that directly go in producing goods and services.
Yes. What is the main behavior? Directly identify. Yes, we can directly identify. That means per unit cost. Per unit cost can be directly traced to a product. Then if we say a car, let's say a car, then we know per one car there should be 5 tires. 5 tires in the sense with separate tire. Okay, that means if we produce one car, we need to have 5 tires. If we produce 2 cars, we need to have 10 tires. That means directly we can identify how much of cost need to be incurred for tires per car. අමතර ටයර් එකත් එක්ක කාර් එකකට ටයර් 5ක් තියෙනවනේ. ටයර් 5ක් ඕන. එතකොට එක කාර් එකක් හදනකොට අපි දන්නවා ටයර් 5යි. එතකොට එක ටයර් එකක් රුපියල් 100යි කිව්වොත් එහෙම රුපියල් 500යි. එතකොට කාර් දෙකක් එනකොට ටයර් 10යි රුපියල් 1000යි. that means ඍජුව අපිට අඳුර ගන්න පුළුවන්. ඒකකයකට අදාළ පිරිවැය ඍජුව හඳුනා ගැනීමේ හැකියාව තියෙනවා. Then what are the categorized available related to the direct cost? ඍජු පිරිවැයට අදාළ වර්ග මොනවද? පිරිවැය වර්ග. How can we categorize the direct cost? As I mentioned here, basically we can categorize direct material, direct labor, and direct other cost. Direct other cost also there. Sometimes we can have, other than the particular labor cost and material cost, we can have other cost too. ඒ කියන්නේ ශ්‍රමය සහ අමුද්‍රව්‍ය හැරුණාම අපිට තියෙන්න පුළුවන් වෙනත් පිළිවෙල. ඍජු නමුත් මේක අමුද්‍රව්‍ය සහ ශ්‍රමය කියන කැටගරි දෙකට දාන්න බැරි පිළිවෙල. Then simply you may aware direct material cost plus direct labor cost plus if you have direct other cost. We know that as what we call ඍජු ශ්‍රම පිරිවැය, ඍජු ද්‍රව්‍ය පිරිවැය සහ ඍජු වෙනත් පිරිවැය කියන තුනේ එකතුවට අපි නමක් කියනවා. What is that? Prime cost, primary cost. In single pratamika period. Okay, good. So let's see. Let's come to the point manufacturing overhead after discussing the direct material cost. Okay. Then here you can see direct material in the sense direct materials become an integral part of the product and that can be conveniently traced directly to it. Okay, raw materials that become an integral part of the product and that can be conveniently traced directly to it. Then as an example we can say a radio installed to an automobile car එක තියෙන radio එක. එතකොට එකකට නම් එකයි දෙකකට නම් දෙකයි. We know we can identify directly how much of cost need to be incurred. Okay, then direct labor in the sense we can say those labor costs that can be easily traced to individual units of product. Labor cost in the sense labor cost, the cost which need to be incurred to obtain physical or mental contributions from the people. කියන්නේ කායික හෝ මානසික ප්‍රයත්නයන් පුද්ගලයන්ගේ කායික හෝ මානසික ප්‍රයත්නයන් ලබා ගැනීම සඳහා දැරිය යුතු පිරිවැය තමයි labor cost කියලා කියන්නේ. එතකොට labor cost එක ශ්‍රම පිරිවැය දරුවෙන් පස්සේ අපිට පුද්ගලයෙක්ගේ මානසික හෝ කායික ප්‍රයත්නයක් අපේ නිෂ්පාදිතය එළියට ගන්න එන්න ඕන. Then when it's become direct labor cost, direct labor in the sense we can simply say those labor costs that can be easily traced to individual unit of product. So simply we can say as example wages paid to automobile assembly workers. Automobile assembly workers, then at that time we need to pay, okay, pay a piece rate. Assemble කරන ගානට තමයි worker ට සල්ලි ගෙවන්නේ. එතකොට එකක් assemble කරොත් 100යි, දෙකක් assemble කරනවා නම් 200යි, තුනක් assemble කරනවා නම් 300යි. That's like that. Then manufacturing overheads. We are coming to the concept of manufacturing overheads. Manufacturing overheads in the sense, the cost which should be incurred. Let's say we are producing this pen, okay? To producing this pen, we need electricity. Let's say we need some, put some lights, okay? Okay, then, but we cannot identify directly how much of cost incurred for electricity per unit of this pen. මේක පෑනක් වෙනුවෙන් දරන පිරිවැය කොච්චරයිද කියලා අපිට ඍජුව හඳුනා ගැනීමේ හැකියාවක් නැහැ. But when it's become the production process, without incurring that cost, let's say without incurring the cost for this electricity, we cannot produce this product. අපිට මේ නිෂ්පාදනය කරන්න බෑ. We cannot directly trace that cost to per item එකට ඍජුව අපිට බෙදා හරින්න විදිහක් නැහැ පිරිවැය. නමුත් අපි මේ පිරිවැය දැරුවේ නැත්නම් අපිට බෑ මේ නිෂ්පාදිතය මේ output එක අපේ production process එකෙන් එළියට දාන්න. I think you got the point. Okay, that is the basic rationale. So manufacturing overheads in the sense, and also keep in mind that cost should be incurred within the production process, not in administration process. Administration එකේ ඒවා වෙනම අපි අඳුන ගන්නවා. Okay, selling and distribution cost, administration cost, finance cost, those are other part. This is the cost related to the production. Okay, මේක මේ නිෂ්පාදනයට අදාළ පිරිවැය. Okay, so simply we can say manufacturing overheads in the sense, manufacturing cost cannot be traced directly to a specific units of product produced. ඒකකයක් තුලට ඍජුවම හඳුනා ගැනීම ඒකකයක් තුලින් හඳුනා ගන්න බෑ. මේ ඒකකය දැක්කහම අපි මේ පෑන ගත්තොත් එහෙම මේ පෑනේ ක්ලිප් එකට යන පිරිවැය මේ බටේට යන පිරිවැය අපිට හඳුනා ගන්න පුළුවන් නේ ඍජුව. නමුත් මේක වෙනුවෙන් දරපු විදුලි වියදම් මේක හදනකොට ඒ නිෂ්පාදනාගාරයේ ආරක්ෂකාංශයට ගෙවපු ආරක්ෂක වැටුප් supervisorට ගෙවපු වැටුප්, those cannot be identified. But if we didn't pay those, then getting this output is impossible. Keep in mind. Okay, then that's how we identify in the manufacturing overheads related to a product. So simply manufacturing overheads in the sense manufacturing cost which cannot be traced directly to a specific units. In some ways are there, we can indirectly traced under the cost and management accounting. We are going to discuss those. Okay, but in this scenario we cannot be traced directly to specific unit produced. So simply we can have indirect materials, indirect labor, as well as in some special cases indirect other cost also we can have. So indirect material in the sense we can say materials used to support the production process. Materials used to support the production process. As an example, lubricants and cleaning supplies used in automobile assembly plant. So lubricants and cleaning supplies, those are materials, but through a product we cannot identify. Indirect labor in the sense we can say wages, as example, wages paid to employees who are not directly involved in the production. As an example, maintenance workers, supervisors, securities, we can say. Okay, hope you got the point. Now, classification of non-manufacturing cost. This is out of this scope. This is out of the scope from our today's session. Okay, other session out of the scope, but in next session, these are important. You know, when we are calculating the profit, simply we need to identify all our revenues as well as we need to identify all our expenses. At that time, we should not uh, depends on the production cost. We need to identify the all cost items. So when in this process, firms need to be incurred some additional non-manufacturing cost too. As an example, if we produce this item, let's say we need to pay salaries for these workers. For that one, we need to prepare those. But we cannot identify that admin cost as a production cost. So those are known as non-manufacturing cost. So when it's become manufacturing cost, basically we can divide it into two categories as production direct cost, simply the primary cost and the or production overhead cost. Other than those costs, we are having this non-manufacturing cost too. So direct material plus direct labor plus direct other cost equal to the primary cost plus production overhead cost equals to the total production cost. Total production cost. Here, when we are calculating the total cost, we need to identify non-production cost too. So, non-production cost in the sense, we can, you may aware, we can say simply the items which we are deducting in the other expenses part in our income statement. Simply, non-production overhead cost, we can say selling and distribution expenses, administration expenses, finance expenses, and other expenses. Okay, so I am not going to deeply discuss this because we are going to discuss these things under final accounts preparation. So now let's see how to distinguish product cost and the period cost. Here, when it's become a product cost in the sense, now all you are aware, that means primary cost and the production overhead cost. Production cost, you can refer this first box. Okay, production cost, we need to trace it into our inventory value. Inventory value eකට අපි production cost එක trace කරන්න ඕන. production cost එක අපි අඳුන ගන්න ඕනේ මේ inventory value එක ඇතුළේ. Okay, then at that time, okay, we are, when calculating the profit, you may aware, first of all, through the manufacturing account, we are identifying the value of product. Okay, that means cost of a product. Then we can transfer that amount to our cost of goods sold account. Let's discuss the way of doing this. I will explain those, but keep in mind, we should keep in mind all these product costs we are identifying under trade account. Production cost category when we are calculating the cost of sales, we gonna opening stock plus production cost, not purchasing. When it become a manufacturing organizations, we are adding purchasing cost. Manufacturing account again that is what we are doing in related to the production cost. Period cost in the sense, those are not included in the cost related to a product. That means simply those are we are not identifying under the production, that means manufacturing account. Here Then here, what we are doing is we are deducting those expenses under where? We are deducting those expenses under other expenses in the income statement. අපි අනිත් වෙනත් පිරිවැයට දේ තමයි ආදායම් ප්‍රකාශය තුළ ඕක අඩු කරන්නේ. Okay, give me 1 minute. Okay, then based on the discussions which we had, tell me the answer for this one. Tell me the answer for this one. Which of the following cost would be considered a period rather than a product cost in the manufacturing company? There may be more than one correct answer. එකට වඩා තියෙන්න පුළුවන්. Chat box එකේ දාන්න. Which of the following cost would be considered a period rather than the product cost in a manufacturing company? There may be more than one answer. Manufacturing equipment depreciation. That should be considered under the production cost. Production cost category තමයි යෝග identify කරන්නේ. That means indirectly we should trace that into the product cost. So ඒක නිෂ්පාදන පිරිවැයක් විදිහට අපි අඳුන ගන්නවා. නිෂ්පාදන ගිණුම හදනකොට ඒකක පිරිවැය විදිහට අපි ඒක අඳුන ගන්න ඕනේ. නිෂ්පාදනයේ පිරිවැයක් විදිහට අපි ඒක අඳුන ගන්න ඕනේ. එතකොට ඍජු අපිට ඒක ඒකකයක පිරිවැය අඳුන ගන්න බෑ. නමුත් වක්‍රාකාරව අපි අඳුන ගන්නවා. So that is a indirect cost. Production overhead cost. Property taxes on corporate headquarters. Corporate headquarters එකේ property tax. Headquarters එකේ property tax. Property tax on headquarters. Should it related to the production? No, it is not should related to the production. Then direct material cost. Simply that is a production cost. Here we are asking period cost. Then next one, electrical cost to light the production facility. මං කිව්වා මේ පෑන හදනකොට when we are producing this pen, if we didn't incur the cost for electricity, we cannot produce this. So that should understand under production cost. Okay, that one also coming under manufacturing account. එතකොට manufacturing account එකේ එනේවා අපි period cost විදිහට ගණන් ගන්නෙ නැහැ. Those are manufacturing cost. Then sales commission, that is not related to the production. That is coming under the selling and distribution expenses, and B coming under the administration expenses. So answer should be B and E. I think B didn't identify by anyone. Why didn't you identify the B? B තේරුම් B කිව්වේ නැහැ කවුරු? Anyone? කවුරුත් කිව්වේ නැහැ නේද? Okay, here you can see now when we are converting raw materials towards a product, අමුද්‍රව්‍ය නිම්ද්‍රව්‍ය, that means finished goods, අමුද්‍රව්‍ය නිම්ද්‍රව්‍ය බවට පරිවර්තනය කරනකොට we know that definitely we need to be incurred the direct labor cost. So manufacturing overheads also need to be incurred. These are the things which we are identified under the identify under the manufacturing account. මෙන්න මේ පිරිවැය තුන තමයි පුතේ අපි අඳුන ගන්න ඕනේ. අපි මේ අද හදන්න යන නිෂ්පාදන ගිණුම තුල අපි අඳුනා ගන්න ඕනේ මෙන්න මේ පිරිවැය. එතකොට ඍජු කියන්නේ ඍජු ද්‍රව්‍ය සරලව ගත්තාම අමුද්‍රව්‍ය නිම්බාණ්ඩයක් බවට පරිවර්තනය කිරීම දක්වා අමුද්‍රව්‍ය නිම්ද්‍රව්‍යයක් බවට නිම්බාණ්ඩයක් බවට පරිවර්තනය කිරීම දක්වා to convert raw materials to a product. The cost, all the cost which we incurred directly and indirectly, it can be direct or it can be indirect, all the cost items we should be identified as production cost in the manufacturing account. Manufacturing account එක production cost එක විදිහට identify කරන්න ඕනේ. So that can be a prime cost or otherwise manufacturing overhead cost. Simply we can say conversion cost. Okay. එතකොට මෙන්න මේ item ටික ඔයාලා ඔයාලගේ manufacturing account එකේදී identify කරගන්න ඕනේ cost item එකක් විදිහට. Then comparison between the merchandising and manufacturing activities. Manufacturers, in the sense, that means simply who are producing the products and selling those items. Then merchandisers, in the sense, who are purchasing the product and selling those items. What is the difference? Please tell me, what is the difference? මොකක්ද වෙනස? Which differences can we see when we are preparing financial statements? අපි මූල්‍ය ප්‍රකාශන හදනකොට මොන වගේ වෙනස්කම්ද තියෙන්න පුළුවන්? Anyone? According to your view, according to your point of view, what are the differences can be happened there? When it's become merchandisers, they just purchasing the finished goods and they are selling those finished goods to their customers. Just buying and selling. But when it's become the manufacturers, they are purchasing not the finished goods, they are purchasing the raw materials from the suppliers. Then they are processing the production. Then after getting the product, they are selling the produced products which produced by them. Okay, before going to the slide, can anyone tell me what can be the differences which can be noted? Note differences. Anyone? First thing is, when it's become merchandisers, there is not any manufacturing account. Manufacturing account. And then just what we are mentioning, when we are calculating the cost of sales, opening stock plus purchasing. But when it's become merchandisers, they are purchasing raw materials and they are incurring some production cost. So we need to calculate the manufacturing cost. So they are having the manufacturing account. Then when they are calculating the cost of production, they are not adding opening stock plus, not the purchasing, opening stock plus production cost. Opening stock plus production cost. And also in case of the statement of financial position, merchandisers are only having the finished good items. When it's become manufacturers, they are having finished goods, they are having raw materials, as well as they are having work in progress systems. Work in progress P&L. Okay. Here you can see, when it's become a merchandiser, they are having cash, receivable, prepaid expenses, and merchandise inventory. Merchandise inventory in the sense finished goods only. But when it's become manufacturer under current assets, they may have cash, receivables, prepaid expenses. Other than that, inventories. In inventories, they are having main three types of inventories as listed here: raw materials, work in progress stocks, and finished goods. So here raw materials, in the sense we can say materials waiting to be processed, finished goods in the sense completed products awaiting for sales, and work in progress in the sense partially completed products. So some of the cost has been incurred, but still some of these need to be incurred. බාගෙට හදලා තියෙන බාඩ්. So this is the very important session, very important section to you. This is in here. I am going to discuss how to prepare income statement, including calculation of cost of goods sold. Here, in this particular slide, you can clearly identify the thing what I explained to you. In case of a manufacturing company, they are having purchasings. But when we are in case of a manufacturing company, in case of a merchandising company, they are having purchasings. When it's become a manufacturing company, they are having cost of goods manufactured. Simply we can say this as the production cost. Production cost. When in case of merchandising company, they are having purchasings. In case of manufacturing company, they are having cost of goods manufactured. I think you got the point. You can refer this slide. I will come to the point. Now, without explaining, I am not going to teach you, I am not going to explain you as you have studied these things. Can you read this and tell me the answer? Just check your knowledge. If your inventory balance at the beginning of the month was 1000, you bought 100 during the month, you sold 300 during the month, what would be the balance at the end of the month? Balance at the end of the month. Tell me the answer. ආරම්භක තොගේ 1000යි මිලදී අරගෙන තියෙනවා 100ක් විකුණලා තියෙනවා 300. Tell me. Yes, most of you guys telling the answer B. That means you know the way. Simply what we need to do, we are having the opening balance of 1000. Then we can add the purchasings. That means what we buy within this period. Then 1100 available for sales. From that, we have sold out 300 worth of goods. From 1100, we have sold out 300 worth of goods. That means our remaining balance 800. Okay. Then this is what we are going to do today. Prepare a schedule of accounts of goods manufactured. In case of financial accounting, we can know this as manufacturing account. This schedule. Already you have studied this. So simply, first of all, we need to calculate the cost of raw materials, direct labor, and manufacturing overheads used in the production. Okay. Calculate the manufacturing cost associated with goods that were finished during the period. That means what we need to do is, in other words, we need to identify the total expenses which we incurred within this period, and we are transferring some products to the finished good. We need to identify that cost separate, because in some cases we can have some work in progress stocks. Okay, within this period, if we consider the whole expenses which we produced, which we incurred within this period, that expenses have incurred not only for the product which we produce within this period, but also it belongs to the cost which we incurred related to that work in progress too. Api මේ කාල පරිච්ඡේදය තුල දරපු පිරිවැය හඳුනාගත්තාම මෙන්න මේ පළවෙනි බොක්ස් එකේ කියන විදිහට අපි හඳුනාගත්තාම එහෙනම් සරලව නිෂ්පාදනයේ පිරිවැය අපිට ගණනය කරන්න පුළුවන්. මොකද්ද? ඍජු ද්‍රව්‍යයට එකතු කරනවා ඍජු ශ්‍රමය ඍජු වෙනත් ඉවර කරලා එකතු කරලා අපි ගන්නවා උත්තරය ප්‍රාථමික පිරිවැය කියලා. ඔන්න ඕකට අපි එකතු කරනවා පොදු කාර්ය පිරිවැය නිෂ්පාදනයට අදාළ මුළු පිරිවැය හඳුනා ගන්න. ඕක තමයි ඔය පළවෙනි බොක්ස් එකෙන් කියන්නේ. නමුත් මේ කාල පරිච්ඡේදයේ දරපු ඔක්කොම පිරිවැය අපි යවන්නේ නැහැ කියමුකෝ නිෂ්පාදනාගාර මේ අවසන් තොගයට මේ ගබඩාවට. මොකද සමහර දේවල් හරියට නිපදවිලා නැති වෙන්න පුළුවන්. ඒ කියන්නේ working progress තව තියෙනවා කාල පරිච්ඡේදයේ අවසානයේ. එතකොට ඒ වෙනුවෙන් දරපු පිරිවැයත් අපි උඩ අඳුරගෙන තියෙන්නේ. එහෙනම් අපි යවන්න ඕනේ අපි යවන තොගයේ finished goods වලට මාරු කරන තොගයේ we need to identify the cost which we transferred to the stores. For that we need to do some adjustment that is known as working progress adjustment. නොනිමි ගැළපිල්ල ආරම්භක නොනිමි සහ අවසාන නොනිමි open work in progress and the closing work in progress we need to identify and we need to adjust those. Here, let's see. So first thing is we need to identify the raw material consumed raw material. Okay, that is we can identify as the direct material cost. So here you can identify the way of calculating that. Direct material cost can be calculated beginning direct material plus raw material consumed, that is equals to the raw materials available for use in the production. Then we can deduct the ending raw material. Then answer would be raw materials used in production. That means simply direct material cost. Then direct material cost, to direct material cost we can add direct labor cost. This cost, that means direct material plus direct labor. Direct material plus direct labor can be known as primary cost. Direct material cost plus direct labor, and if we are having other cost we can known as primary cost. ඍජු අමුද්‍රව්‍ය පිරිවැයට ඍජු ශ්‍රමය සහ ඍජු වෙනත් පිරිවැය එකතු කරාම එන උත්තරයට අපි මෙතන වෙනම අරගෙන කියන්න පුළුවන් ඕන ප්‍රාථමික පිරිවැය කියලා. Then we can add the manufacturing overhead cost. Total is known as total manufacturing cost. Then here, as we aware, we need to identify here total manufacturing cost in the sense the cost which we incurred during the period. Here we are going to identify cost related to the product which we manufactured within this period. මේ කාල පරිච්ඡේදය තුල අපි මොකද්ද කරන්න ඕනේ? දරපු පිරිවැය තමයි මේ තියෙන්නේ. But we need to identify total cost related to the goods manufactured. දරපු පිරිවයි නෙමෙයි අපිට ඕනේ නිෂ්පාදනය කළ භාණ්ඩවල පිරිවයි. So in that case, which made the difference between the cost which we incurred and the cost which related to the our produced product is what? That is the work in progress. ඒ තමයි වෙනස තමයි නොනිමි. කියන්නේ මේ කාල පරිච්ඡේදය තුල දරපු පිරිවැය මේ කාල පරිච්ඡේදය තුල නිෂ්පාදනය කරපු වල භාණ්ඩවල පිරිවැය අතර වෙනසක් තියෙනවා නම් ඒ වෙනසට හේතුව තමයි නොනිමි. So what we need to do when we are transferring the product to the stores, we need to identify some cost which we incurred in last period too. ගිය කාල පරිච්ඡේදයේ දරපු පිරිවැය තියෙන්න පුළුවන්. ගිය පාර පරිච්ඡේදයේ භාගයට හදපුවා මේ කාල පරිච්ඡේදයේ ඉතුරු ටික නිම වෙන්න පුළුවන්. ඒ පිරිවැය මේක ඇතුලේ තියෙනවා. එහෙනම් ඒ වෙනුවෙන් ගිය කාල පරිච්ඡේදයේ දරපු පිරිවැය අපි එකතු කරන්න ඕනේ. Okay? Partially completed products in last period may be completed within this period and transferred to the stores. The cost which we incurred within this period is in the total manufacturing cost, but when we are identifying the product cost, we need to identify cost which we incurred last period also. That means closing WIP of last period, ගිය කාල පරිච්ඡේදයේ අවසාන නොනිමි. In other words, opening work in progress stocks of this particular period. මේ කාල පරිච්ඡේදයේ ආරම්භක නොනිමි. So we need to add that. අපි ආරම්භක නොනිමි එකතු කරන්න ඒ නිසායි. And the cost which we incurred within this period, okay, some cost which we incurred within this period may not be fully converted as finished good. That means those are the closing work in progress stocks. මේ කාල පරිච්ඡේදයේ දරලා හරියට නිමි ද්‍රව්‍ය බවට පරිවර්තනය නොවෙච්ච භාගයට හදපුවා තියෙන්න පුළුවන්. So within those should be identified in next particular period, because as they are going to be the finished goods in next period. So within this period cost, we need to remove those. So closing WIPs we need to deduct. එහෙනම් මොකද කරන්න ඕනේ? ආරම්භක නොනිමි භාණ්ඩවල පිරිවැය එකතු කරන්න ඕනේ. අවසාන නොනිමි භාණ්ඩවල පිරිවැය අඩු කරන්න ඕනේ. In accounting, you may do this in two ways. In sometimes you may tell to do this related to the primary cost, and some cases you may ask to do this in total cost. If you ask to do this in primary cost, you need to do that part within this in here. I will tell that one. එතකොට සමහර වෙලාවට ඔයාලට මේක ප්‍රාථමික පිරිවැයට කරන්න කියන්න පුළුවන්. සමහර වෙලාවට මුළු නිෂ්පාදන පිරිවැයට කරන්න කියන්න පුළුවන්. ප්‍රාථමික පිරිවැයට කරන්න කිව්වොත් එහෙම ඔයාලා ප්‍රාථමික පිරිවැය හොයලා එතන නොනිමි ගැලපීම කරන්න ඕනේ. If you ask to do this part within the in case of primary cost, you need to do that after calculation of primary cost. In most cases, you may ask to do this after the for total cost. Then at that time, at the end, you can do this adjustment. Main adjustment එක අවසානයේ කරන්න පුළුවන්. Okay. In here, if you have any doubts, now you can ask. Now, can you tell me the answer for this question? Tell me the answer for this question. Beginning raw material inventory was $32,000. During the month, $276,000 of raw material was purchased. Account at the end of the month revealed that 28,000 of raw material was still present. What is the cost of direct material used? What is the cost of direct material used? Tell me the answer. Okay, let's see. Then here, correct answer is answer C. How did it calculate? Raw material uh, beginning inventory has been given 32,000. We need to add purchasings. That means 276. Then raw materials available for use 308. That means the total of beginning and raw material purchased. Then we need to deduct the ending inventory. The answer is the raw material used in production. Okay, next one. Direct materials used in production totaled 280. Direct labor was 375 and factory overheads was 180. What were the total manufacturing cost incurred for the year? Tell me the answer. Very easy one. Yes, we need to add together. Then you identified that. You studied up to now. Total manufacturing cost equals to direct material, direct labor, and manufacturing overheads. Okay. Then what about this? Tell me the answer for this one. Beginning work in progress was 125. Manufacturing cost incurred for the month were 835. There were 200 of partially finished goods remaining in the work in progress inventory at the end of the month. This is closing inventory. What was the cost of goods manufactured? Cost of goods manufactured. Tell me the answer. Yes. Most of you guys telling A, that means you have done correctly. The why? The thing is, I thought you correct. No, let's see. Why did you say A? A answer 1160. Here what was happened? Let's see. Beginning working inventory. Beginning working inventory 125. Then manufactured cost during the month 835. Then what we need to do? We need to add beginning working progress inventory 125. Then simply what we need to do, manufacturing cost 835. Then we need to add beginning inventory 835 plus 125. Then we need to deduct closing inventory. ඔයාලා මේක මෙහෙම හදන්න ඕනේ. මේක රෂනල් එක දෙන්න මෙහෙම හදලා තියෙන්නේ. ඔයාලා කරන්න ඕනේ. අපි සරලව දැන් කතා කරා opening inventory total cost එකට opening work in progress එකතු කරලා closing work in progress අඩු කරන්න ඕන. We need to add opening work in progress. We need to deduct closing work in progress. හරි නේද මම? Yes, answer should be 760. Okay, tell the answer for this one. Beginning finished good inventory was 130. The cost of goods manufactured for the month was 760. The ending finished goods inventory was 150. What was the cost of goods sold for the month? Tell me the answer. කොමල හදන්න හදලා කියන්නේ නිකන් අනිත් පැත්තේ දාන උත්තර කියන්න ඕනේ මාවර වටන්න හදන්න එපා. Okay, correct answer, answer B. So what we need to do, we need to add together the what's asking opening inventory plus total production cost minus closing stock. Answer is 740. Okay, you are correct. Okay, that is the end of this session. Okay, now all hope you may aware about the total cost of a product. Now we can go for preparation of manufacturing account part. Okay, now you know how we are going to calculate the total cost related to a product and how we are going to do the work in progress adjustment too. So let's brief that. So let's see. So manufacturing account, okay, we can calculate, we can prepare like this. Already you are aware, I show a schedule. So we need to have a direct material cost. Direct material cost calculation part, we need to consider the opening stock of direct material, and we need to add purchasing, and we need to deduct the closing stock of closing material of direct materials. Then total we can identify as the direct material cost related to this particular period. Then we can add direct labor cost, and the if we are having direct other cost, total of this known as primary cost, total of this known as primary cost. Then we can add production overhead cost, production overhead cost. Then total we known as total manufacturing cost. Okay, this is the then I already explained the way of doing the work in progress as an adjustment. Simply what we are doing here, this one, normally, I forgot that one. This one can transfer to trade account. අපි මේක account එකක් විදියට හැදුවොත් එහෙම මේ විදියට නෙන්නේ. එතකොට okay, direct material, direct labor, direct other, production overheads ඔහොම list out වෙලා. Okay, then what you can do is you can get the total here. Okay, then this balance transfer into trade account. වෙළඳ ගිණුමට යන්නේ no. Okay, තීරු විදියට හදනවා නම් column base, we can write transferring the amount to trade account here, transferring the total cost to trade account. Then here what you can do is here after this one we can start the trade account. That means opening stock, here materials, opening stock plus cost of production. So that this one we can okay. Okay, then closing stock, here materials, and this is known as cost of sales. Okay, then here means from this side we can have sales, then difference between these two sides we can identify if it is coming from this side, gross profit. Then we can put that here, brought forward gross profit. Then we can deduct other expenses. Then answer is net profit. Okay, make it හදන්න තේරෙනවනේ මේකෙන් transfer කරාම තීරු ප්‍රමේයයට යනවා. Okay, that part. Okay. Then I will show how to do the working progress adjustment. There are two main ways to do the working progress adjustment. One is doing for primary cost, doing this for primary cost. How to do? We need to take the primary cost, direct material, direct labor, also known as the primary cost, also known as the primary cost. Okay, then as I explained to you, we need to add opening WIP and we need to deduct closing WIP. Okay, then we can get the balance and we can adjust. Production overhead cost can be added, then can get is known as total production cost. Okay, then second method is doing the adjustment for total cost. Total cost eකට adjustment කරන එක I will show. We have first of all we have to calculate the total cost, direct material, direct labor, that is known as primary cost. Then we need to add production overhead cost, then we can get the total. Then here we need to do add opening work in progress and we need to deduct the closing WIP. Okay, then answer is known as total manufacturing cost. Okay, Okay, there are something to discuss. So as we did that's around, now it's around 10. So now let's take a break. Then let's meet back again around 10:30. Okay, then we can discuss how to transfer the values to trade account with the profit, without profit, and how to do the adjustments related to the unrealized profit. I will do that part. Okay, now this is the way which we need to adopt when we are having working progress systems. Okay, hope up to now you are not having any doubts. Okay, if you have any doubts, you can ask. You can send me a message through chat box in personal way or comment. Now let's see how to transfer the total cost with a profit margin. Transferring the total manufacturing cost to trade account with a profit margin. As an example, let's say total manufacturing cost of a firm have identified within a period as 1,000 rupees. And expected profit margin, I'm not writing everything, profit margin, let's say within the factory, 10%. Then let's see how to do certain transfer. Now it's easy. Simply, first thing we can identify, now you have been given direct material, direct labor, and direct other cost, as well as production overhead cost, and let's say plus opening WIP and deducting closing WIPs. All these balance adjust, after all these adjustments, you have been given total manufacturing cost as 1,000. Okay, I will put take this into here. Total manufacturing cost has been given as 1,000. මම ඒක නිකන් පැහැදිලි කරන්න පහසු වෙනවා. මම උඩට ගත්තේ. Now factory profit should be 10%. That means simply we can add the factory profit to this total manufacturing cost in the manufacturing account, and you can get the transferring amount to the trade account. Then 1,100. This is what we are transferring to trade account. Now what we should do for this 100? Then මේ 100 එකේ double entry එකක් හැවුවොත් එහෙනම් මොකද්ද වෙන්නේ? මේ හරණේ වෙලා තියෙන්නේ manufacturing accounts වලට හර වෙලා තියෙන්නේ. Then what should be the double entry? We take this. Anyone having idea? කාට හරි අදහසක් තියෙනවා නම් කියන්න මට. Tell me. Sometimes in most cases you may have studied these things. අනිවාර්යෙන් ඔයාලා මේ කතා කරලා තියෙන්න ඕනේ. The thing is you just forgot. ඔයාලා අමතක වෙලයි තියෙන්නේ. Tell me. Just you are not having any idea. Keep in mind, this one should identify in other income. Under other income. In the income statement, okay, under the other income, we should record this factory profit. දැන් මෙහෙමනේ අපි manufacturing cost වල in case of calculating manufacturing cost, when we are incurred in this direct material cost, manufacturing account debit, cash account credit. Manufacturing account debit called as direct labor, cash account credit. මුදලින් දරන කොට. Okay, then here also we need the double entry. No, at that time our double entry is manufacturing account debit as factory cost, then credit P&L account. Profit and loss account credit as factory profit. Got the point? එතකොට factory profit එකක් දානවා නම් අපි දිගටම ගාන හදාගෙන යනවා නම් ආදායම් ප්‍රකාශය ඔක්කොම එන්න ඒක other income යටතේ පෙන්වන්න ඕනේ. If we are adding a factory cost, we should add that for the cost of the cost of manufacturing cost. Then total cost we are transferring to the total cost we are transferring to a trade account. That profit we should mention under the other income. Okay. If you have any doubts, ask. You can ask. Please ask. Any doubts? Any doubts? Okay, looks like no doubts. Okay, looks like no doubts. So let's move to our next topic. අපි යමු ඊගාව ගැලපිල්ල කොහොමද කරන්න කියලා බලන්න. මේක පොඩ්ඩක් අමාරුයි. Okay. If you have any doubts, please ask while I am teaching. Next, I am going to discuss with you how to do the adjustment for unrealized profit. Unrealized profit. Now, as an example, let's say total manufacturing cost $1,000 within this period, and factory profit policy of factory profit is 10% from total manufacturing cost. Then you have been given finished goods stock. Finished goods stock. Opening stock, let's say 1,200 rupees. Then closing stock, let's say 1,500 rupees. ආරම්භක තොගය 1200යි අවසාන තොගය 1500. The thing is, okay, let's record this first. Let's record, I am recording this one, factory profit. Then this is my manufacturing account. In manufacturing account, I have identified total manufacturing cost, rupees 1,000. Okay. Then factory profit policy is 10%. Therefore, I need to add 100, 10% from 1,000. Then I should transfer to trade account 1,100. Then if I draft the income statement, මම හරබැර තියෙන දෙපැත්තෙන් හදන්නේ. Income statement. Here I am recording the sales. We don't know. And here, cost of sales. Opening stock has been given finished stock 1,200. Then plus this one. Production එක නිදාන trading account එකට යන්නේ purchasing නෙමෙයි. Manufacturing cost 1,100. I got this one. Okay. Then minus closing stock has been given 1,500. Then cost of sales is මෙතන 2,300යි එතකොට 800. Then difference between these 2 points we can identify as the gross profit. Then I am taking gross profit here. Then we need to add the other income. Under that, we should take this one. Factory profit එක දාන්න එපා. ඔය ටික තමයි දැනට කරලා තියෙන්නේ. In addition to that, if we draft the statement of financial position, under current assets, I should record stocks, finished good stock, closing stock එක 1500. ඔය ටික තමයි තියෙන්නේ. Now the thing is, you should feel something wrong. ඔයාලට මේකේ මොකක් හරි අවුලක් තියෙනවා. හිනුම් කරන සංකල්ප වලින් ඔළුව පුරවගෙන ඉන්න ඔයාලා. හිනුම් කරන්නේ මූලික සංකල්ප වලින් ඔළුව පුරවගෙන ඉන්න ඔයාලා. As the students who have studied the accounting for a certain period, you may have had so many partnership accounts, so many company accounts, so many sole trade business accounts. Now you know you are having that basic rationale behind this account. Now you should feel something wrong. මොකක් හරි වැරද්දක් දැනෙන්න ඕන. What is that? What is that? Anyone? බලමු කවුරු හරි ඇඟේ තියාගෙන ඉන්නවද කියලා මේ ගිනුම් කරන. I will give 1 minute to think. Okay, now let's again I am telling. We recorded the profit of manufacturing, that means factory profit 100. Then we recorded that as other income, that is okay. And we are having opening stocks and closing stocks. The thing is, still full of these 100 rupees, which we identified as a factory profit, have not been earned yet. තාමත් මේ 100 උපයලා නැහැ. factory රුපියල් 100ක් ලාභ තියෙනවා. තියලා අපි මාරු කරා තොගය ගැටලුවක් නැහැ. factory අපේම firm එකේ කොටසක්. අපි ඒ නිසා factory profit එක income statement එකේ other income කියලා යටතේ factory profit එක දැම්මා. සංස්කෘතිකයි එකඟයි සරල භාෂාවෙන් කියනවා නන්නේ. ගැටලුවක්. But the thing is that rational to identify this 100 as the earned profit if we didn't sold this total stock yet? අපි අර තොගය මෙතනදී yes we have identified 100 but still that is within our stock. තාම මේ 1000 තියෙන්නේ අපේ finished goods මේ 100 හෝ 100න් කොටස. So still we didn't realize all those profits. අපි තාම මේ 100 earn කරලා නැහැ. Got it? Yes, we may earn something from factory profit through this opening stock. මේ opening stock එක විකුණනකොට අපිට කොටසක් එනවා factory profit වලින්, and මේ production එකෙන් කොටසක් යන්න ඇති. එතකොටත් එනවා factory කොටස් මේවෙන් කොටසක්. ඒ නිසා අපිට මේක ගැළපිල්ලක් කරන්න වෙනවා. We need to do a adjustment. For that purpose, we should do a adjustment for unrealized profit. උපලබ්ධි නොවූ ලාභ adjustment එක කරන්න. For that, we need to have an account called. මම මෙතන හදන පුතේ ඉන්න නැති නිසා වෙන පිටුවකට ගියොත් එහෙම ඔයාලට මේක තේරුම් කරන්න අමාරුයි. I am going to have an account called unrealized profit. unrealized. Now, ladies and gentlemen, can you tell me please, if the company's policy is having a 10% profit through the manufacturing cost, how much of profit belongs to this 1,200 and how much of profit belongs to this 1,500? How much and profit belongs to this 1,100? Here we have identified that is 100. මෙතන opening stock එක ඇතුලේ කීයක් තියෙන්න ඕනේද එහෙනම්? මෙතන 100යි අපි අඳුරගත්තා. මොකද්ද කරේ? factory cost එක. දැන් මේක ඇතුලේ කීයක් තියෙනවද? මේ 1200 ඇතුලේ ලාභය කීයක් තියෙනවද? factory profit එක. හැම එකකයක් ඇතුලේම දැන් තියෙන්නේ මෙතනින් දාලානේ අපි transfer කරන්නේ. finished good එක value වෙන්නේ profit එකක් එක්ක. Value in finished goods are happening with the profit. Now my question is, how much of profit belongs to this opening stock? Anyone? 10%ක් නේ. So what we need to do, 1,200 is the value. It should be divided by 110 multiplied by 10. 10න් වැඩි කරොත් එහෙම අපිට එන්නේ ලාභය. Okay, tell me the answer. It's around 109. මම නිකන් හිතලා දාපු වගයන් නිසා හරියට එන්නේ නැතුව ඇති. අපි කියමු 109. Then what about here? 1,500 divided by 110 into 10. 10%යිනේ profit එක. It's around 136. Yes, 136. Got the point? Now the thing is, here still when at the beginning, in the beginning stock, that means at the beginning of this period, within our available stocks, there is unrealized profit of 109. ඒ කියන්නේ ආරම්භක තොගයේ තියෙනවා අපි උපලබ්ධි කරගත්ත නැති ලාභයක් රුපියල් 109ක. So in case of unrealized profit account, we are having an opening balance brought forward 109. At the end, අවසානයේදී, at the end, we are having an unrealized profit of 136. Sorry, 136 balance brought down. That means there should be a balance. දැන් මෙතන balance එකක් තියෙන්න ඕනේ. ඒක තමයි මේ කාල පරිච්ඡේදයට අදාළ unrealized profit එක. That is the unrealized profit belongs to this particular period. Therefore what can we do? Here මේ පැත්තෙන් එන්නේ, දැන් බැර පැත්තෙන් එන්නේ. එහෙනම් unrealized profit account credit and P&L account debit. What is the difference? 136 minus 109, 27. 27. Okay, 27 we should debit to the income statement. වෙනත් වියදමක් විදිහට අඳුන ගන්න ඕනේ. Unrealized profit. මේ කාල පරිච්ඡේදයේ unrealized profit. Now see, here we recorded the factory profit. From that, because of the debit entry, we are removing the unrealized profit. Now what we should do for this balance? Then unrealized profit account එකේ balance එකක් තියෙනවනේ. That balance we should deduct from our stock. Current assets වල stock පෙන්නන තැන අපි අඩු කරලා පෙන්නන්න ඕනේ. Unrealized profit 136. එතකොට මේ 1500 ඇතුලේ තියෙන unrealized profit එක අපි අඩු කරලා පෙන්නන්න ඕනේ. Current assets පෙන්නනකොට මේ ගාන තමයි දාන්න ඕනේ. මූල තත්ත්ව ප්‍රකාශ. In statement of financial position, this is what we should show. Okay, now I will give an example. You should do that. Unrealized profit example 2. Let's say previous data, same as previous data. Total manufacturing cost 1000. Factory profit 10%. Finished goods opening 1500 rupees and closing 1200. Okay, try to do this. And if you have any doubts now, you can ask. Okay, I will do this one also. Now, in the manufacturing account, හරි පුතේ මම ආයෙ පැහැදිලි කරන්න මේ ගාන හදනකොට ඔයා තේරුම් ගන්න උත්සාහ කරන්න මම ආයෙත් පැහැදිලි කරන්න. In manufacturing account, we are going to have then total manufacturing cost has been given as 1000. Then we are adding factory cost. 10% in means 100. That means we are transferring to trading account 1100. Okay, so in case of income statement, this side, let's say sales. ඔයාලා මොන විදිහට හදුවත් කමක් නැහැ. හොඳේ මම මේ අර හරබර පැහැදිලි කරන්න ඕන නිසා මේ විදිහට හදි. This side opening stock 1500, closing that means production, this one 1100, then minus closing stock 1200. Okay, 1500 plus 1100 minus 1200, then value is 1400, value is 1400. Then we can have the gross profit. Profit එකක් එනවා කියන පදනම ඉඳන් ගත්තොත් here the gross profit. As we discussed, we should record this one under other income as factory income. Factory profit. Okay, now this is the thing. Now the thing is, here we are having some unrealized profit, and here we are having some unrealized profit. We noted that as 100, and closing stock also having some unrealized profit. 1500 ඉස්සලා ගණනය කරන්නේ 1500ක් වුණොත් එහෙම මම ඉස්සලා එකේ closing stock opening stock මාරු කරපු එකමනේ කරේ 1500 කේදී 136 and 109. Here 136 unrealized profit, here 109. Then බලගන්න unrealized. In addition to that, our statement of financial position, mang statement of financial position මෙතන. Position එකේ current assets විදියට. Now we need to record this 1200. Now I will show how to I will use different color. Unrealized profit. Now within this opening stock balance, we are having unrealized profit of 136. Let's record that as the opening balance of unrealized account, profit account 136. And at the end of the period also we are having a closing stock of 109. That means balance of our closing the balance of our unrealized profit account at the end of the period should be simply balance brought down should be 109. Now let's take the අර දැන් මොකද්ද වෙන්නේ? දැන් අර අඩමානයි මදි වුණාම අලුතෙන් වෙන් කරන්නේ. ආන් ඒ වගේ කේස්. ඒ කියන්නේ මේ කාල පරිච්ඡේදයේ විකුණුපු ටිකට අමතරව තොග තිබ්බ ටිකකුත් විකුණලා. එතකොට මේ කාල පරිච්ඡේදයේ earn කරපු unrealized profit එකට අමතරව තිබ්බ තොගේනොත් කොටසක් ලාභය ඇවිල්ලා. In this case, what was happened? Other than the production which we produced in this period, we have sold out some production from our stocks which were available. Therefore, that means other than the unrealized factory profit which we earned within this period, we converted some unrealized profit as the realized profit. අපි ඒ කියන්නේ අර තිබ්බ තොගයටත් වඩා විකුණලා තියෙනවා. මොකද කලින් තිබ්බ 136ක් අවසාන වෙනකොට 109. ඕකේ? ඒ කියන්නේ තව අපේ profit එක මේ 100ට වඩා වැඩියෙන් සටහන් විය යුතුයි. factory profit එක සටහන්ලා මදි. මොකද අපි කලින් තිබ්බ තොගේ realize කරගෙන. So what we need to do, balance of this, we need to transfer the difference 136 minus 109.27 into P&L account. Okay, here 27 unrealized profit account debit, gross income profit P&L account debit as unrealized profit. And in this statement of financial position, we need to deduct 109 as an unrealized profit from our stock balance. Make a stock. Closing stock again, we need to deduct unrealized profit. මේකට අපිට කියන්න පුළුවන් provision for unrealized profit. Okay, this account also we can say normally provision for unrealized profit. පෙන් කිරීමක් නෑනේ. එතකොට provision කියලා දාන්න. 100 and okay. Here also we can say provision for unrealized profit. Did you got the point? Now again, if you are having doubts, please ask. I will explain those again. Still, if you are having doubts, ask. Any doubts? Okay.